So, a couple of days ago, just back from my swim, a couple of days ago, my immigrant Latino husband, yeah, you got that, posed a question in the family WhatsApp group. Should same-sex marriage be a human right? Why he posted it, I have no idea. He's a devout Catholic, and my brother-in-law, through him, is an Egyptian Muslim, lovely man. So I took my time to reply, and this is the reply. No. In fact, we have very few human rights. As my friend Dave said yesterday in the foreword to the American Constitution, we hold these truths to be self-evident. Well, if they were self-evident, why did you have to write them down? So, there's usually a man sitting there in the sun, says hello to me. We have agreed over millennia on certain human rights. The first known code written to say that we have human rights was a Babylonian king, Hammurabi, I think his name was, nearly 2,000 years BC. The Code of Hammurabi, I think that's his name anyway. And he set out a charter, so to speak, of human rights. But human rights are things that we have agreed on over the millennia, over more than millennia. We've agreed on certain things, like we have common law, for instance, and we agreed on certain rights through common law. The right to your bodily integrity is one of them. Not to be injured, not to be wounded, not to be harmed, not to be killed in a criminal sense. If you choose to have a duel with somebody and you get killed in that, well, that's, obviously that's a different era and stuff like that, but that's something you chose to do. And if you're going to challenge somebody to a fight to the death, then you suffer the consequences, or the other person suffers the consequences. Now, I'm passing a man here, so I'm just going to tone it down a bit. How you doing? Just going. So, we're in a unique position in history, in time, in the evolution of the human species, where we've never had it so easy. And maybe a consequence of that is that we keep demanding new rights, and trans rights are human rights, and same-sex marriage is a human right. Well, no. We agree on certain things as being fundamentally needed for humans to not just coexist, but to keep existing. Never mind coexisting, to keep existing. So we agree not to kill each other. We agree not to steal each other's property. We agree on certain things. But same-sex marriage is a human right. Well, you see, as part of the modern era, where we've never had it so easy, especially in the Western world, I should say, we've grown a sense of entitlement, where we think we're entitled to all kinds of things, entitled to all kinds of rights. And this is a purely modern phenomenon. Yeah, phenomenon. Sorry now, I didn't realise there was going to be some works here. The modern concept of marriage is actually a relatively recent phenomenon. Um, the idea of falling in love, two people falling in love and getting married, has actually only been around 200 or 300 years. Before that, marriage was purely, almost purely commercial. It was down to either families uniting together to be stronger against other families, or families making agreements as to who should marry who. Look, the prime example are all the royal families that we have around Europe. Locals here say hello still here in Bandon. Before that, okay, you've got the biblical example of Adam and Eve. You've got various examples throughout history of men and women betrothed to each other. How we got here today is because men coupled up, shall we say, because marriage was around for a few thousand years, but again, not in the sense that we have it today, not romantic marriage. So men and women got together, they had sex, they had children, they procreated, and they kept the human race going. Same-sex marriage is not normal in the evolutionary sense of things. So yes, can two men get together? Crossing the road here, lots of traffic. No, he's not letting me go. The other person, I just crossed in front of them on purpose. Two men getting together and getting married and having children through surrogacy or adoption. Two women getting together, maybe getting married, having children through a sperm donor or adoption. It's not the norm. It's not the norm. The norm has always been a man and a woman. Children need the influence of a good father and a good mother. Before we had couples before the modern era, you had a husband and a wife, you had a man and a woman raising children. If they were rich, maybe they had a nanny, they had whatever. And long before that, you were raised by the village, you were raised by the tribe. You had male and female influences, and that was how it was done for the longest imaginable time. You didn't have two men raising children. You didn't have two women raising children. It wasn't normal back then. Hi, kitty. Oh, you're very loud. He's probably, you see the kitty? Sorry, but I've nothing. Pause. Yeah, sorry about that. There was a cat meowing quite loudly, and there just happened to be a bit of a tin can, an empty cat food dish lying by, so I filled it with water because it's quite hot here today. So back to the subject at hand. You may have the right to get married, same-sex couples, but it's not the norm. Does homosexuality exist in other parts of the animal kingdom? Yes, but it's not the norm. The norm is for male and female of species to procreate and to produce offspring of their own kind. And in some species there is monogamy. Not in every species, obviously. The most famous example of being the closest to human behaviour are the bonobo, and they're known to have same-sex matings. But again, it's not the norm. The norm for them is for a male and female to copulate and to have offspring. If they only had homosexual relationships, that species would have died out by now. So, while yes, men can marry men and women can marry women, it is not and never was the norm. And that's the end of it, as far as I'm concerned. My Muslim brother-in-law congratulated me for speaking up, and my devout Catholic immigrant Latino husband was quite shocked at my response. But human rights, as the regressive liberals like to go on about social constructs, human rights are a social construct. 100%. Go on, take it easy. Ciao.